everyone, today I'm going to be showing you how to make this cute little Santa hat. So this is the larger size and can be used for plushies or just as an accessory. And then these smaller sizes I like to use as ornaments or as keychains. So today I'm going to be showing you using this weight yarn. So let's get started. So I like to use a weight 6 yarn for the main part. And you're going to start by making a slip knot. And then for the trim later on, I'm going to use this weight 7 yarn, just so that it's a little fluffier at the bottom. So again, you make a slip knot. Then I'm going to take my hook. And this is how I like to do my magic ring. You can just do a typical magic ring, but this is how I do it. So I'm going to chain 2. And then go into that first stitch, and that's going to be my magic ring. So I'm going to make 4 in a magic ring. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. Pull that tight a little bit. So there's a 4 in a magic ring. Then I'm going to go ahead and add my stitch marker, and I just like to use a bobby pin. And then to start working in rounds, you're going to do increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet. And that's going to make our stitch count up to 6. So right now it's just 4. But since we're adding 2 increases in this round, it's going to go up to 6. So that's a single crochet. We're going to do an increase here. Then a single crochet to finish off the round. Leave my stitch marker. Okay. Next round, we are going to do a single crochet and then a increase, then 2 single crochets, another increase, and then a single crochet. Move my stitch marker. And that makes it so that there are 2 single crochets and then an increase. So just space those out a little bit so it doesn't end up getting too wide on the sides. For the next round, we are going to do 3 single crochet, increase, 3 single crochet, increase, move my stitch marker. Then for the next round, we're going to do 2 single crochet, 1, 2, then an increase, then 4 single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I'm going to increase again, then 2 single crochet to finish the round. Then for the next round, I'm going to do single crochet and then increase all the way around. And that's going to get our stitch count up to 18. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase. Move my stitch marker again. Then for this round, we are going to do single crochet all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, I moved my stitch marker, but from here on we're not going to need it anymore, so I'm going to take that out. And then we're going to do a color change. Now this is how I do my color changes. I just undo that loop. I'm left with 2 loops. I put my hook through. Then I'm going to take my trim yarn, so the color I'm changing it to, and I'm going to pull it through these 2 loops. And then that's a complete single crochet, but now we have a new color. And then for this, since it's a thicker yarn, I like to just use a thicker hook. You don't have to though. And then I'm going to go into the back loops only. So if you see there, I'm going to go into this back loop here. And I'm going to go into those back loops all the way around. So single crochet all the way around with this trim color. And working in the back loops can be a little bit more difficult than just working in both loops, but it's going to make it so there's a nice separation. Now I would also like to mention, if you're using a weight yarn to where both the red color and white color are the same weight, it's going to look a little different, and the white might not be as fluffy as you would like it to be. So in that case, you can either just make half double crochets all the way around to make it maybe the white stand out a little more, or you can go through both loops instead of just back loops. And that might make it a little bit more noticeable. I do like to just use the thicker white yarn though. I find that's easiest. Then all you have to do is go into the back loops and just make single crochet all the way around. So you do have options though if you don't have 2 different yarn sizes. So almost at the end here. Okay, so I've made it all the way around, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slip stitch into that first stitch that we made. Just like that. Then I'm going to cut the yarn, rip the yarn, pull it through, just pull it a little tight, and that is all for the bottom trim. Now we will add the top little pom-pom, and I'm going to go switch back to my smaller hook. Now what I like to do is I like to see where the back is and then just make it going sideways this way. But it doesn't really matter. So you're going to stick your hook directly into that magic ring. So directly through it. So right in the center. And then you're going to come out the side. So in between rounds 1 and 2. So you're going to go like that. And it might be a little lopsided, like a little closer to this than over here, but that's okay because the bobble is going to be a little lopsided and you can always just adjust. So just like this. Then I'm going to take my thicker yarn, I'm going to hook it, then pull it through, just like that. Then I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. And now what we're going to do is basically a bobble stitch. So I like to do a 2-loop bobble, but just as many loops as you make on this is the bigger the pom-pom is going to get. So yarn over, go into that stitch, just like that. Grab my yarn, pull it through, pull it through. Right now we have a 2-loop bobble, but I want a 3-loop bobble, so I'm going to yarn over again, go back in, grab it again, and now I have a 3-loop bobble. And just for the sake of showing you, I'm going to do another one so you can see the difference. Going to make a yarn over again, pull it through again, 2 loops, and now I have a 4-loop bobble. Then I'm going to pull my yarn through all of those loops, so I have it like this, looks something like this. Now what I'm going to do is finally go back into that same magic ring stitch that we started with, push my hook all the way through, then I'm going to grab my yarn, pull it all the way through, and then make a slip stitch. So pull it through this loop as well. Just like that. Then I'm going to cut my yarn, pull the yarn through, tighten it up a little bit, pull this tail as well to tighten it up a little bit. Then I am going to take my needle and I'm just going to take my loose ends and push them inward. So it's coming out the bottom of this hat. Okay. Now we're almost done. We just got a bunch of loose ends, and I forgot to cut this, so obviously don't need red yarn anymore. So we just have a bunch of loose ends left. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this whole thing inside out, and I'm going to secure all these loose ends. So first I like to tie these two together. Make sure it's secure. Then I like to tie these two red ones together, kind of near the top. I like to tie these two white ones at the top together. And then finally, all the white ones together. And I like to tie them kind of close to the top so they're not falling out the bottom. Now I should mention, you don't have to do this. You can just cut your ends, but you just risk them kind of falling out or getting loose over time. So I just like to make sure that they're all secure and inside of the hat where you can't really see them. Just make one more knot. Might be a little overkill, but I hate seeing loose ends come out of my projects. So we got all the ends tied together. Then I'm just gonna cut them. Cut the tails off anyway. And it looks kind of ugly, but it doesn't matter because it's all getting pushed inside. You'll see a white line. If you really hate the white line, just cut it down here. You know, you just might see loose ends over time. But that's it. That's how you make it. And you see the pom-pom on this one is a little bit bigger than on this one because with this one was a 2-loop bobble. This one was a 3-loop bobble. And again, I will mention that these two were made with the same weight yarn. So these are both velvet. What I did with this one was I did single crochets, but I didn't do it in back loops. I only did it in the, I did it in both loops. So you can see the white a little better. And then with this one, I did half double crochets and I also did it in both loops. So you can just experiment with it and see what you want. My favorite is to use a thicker white yarn at the bottom, and then that way it just looks a little fluffier and a little cuter, but that's just how I do it. And that is how you make my little Santa hats.